Let's talk a little social psychology about what's going on in society. And it's people like this Gen Z that is continuing to just erode society and make people like me that are getting I have beautiful black hair. I'm getting more gray hair because I have to talk about these things and deal with them on a week in and week out basis. So let's pull up the title of this entire discussion from the New York Post. Go ahead, bring it up. I'm a Gen Z employee. You think work is rough? Here are my tips to survive a 9 to 5. So ridiculous. Why didn't anybody see? They're too concerned in these colleges and universities about trying to teach people about their gender and their sexuality and how terrible the world is and how unexceptional this country is and all of its bad qualities and history of just making bad decisions along the way, as any young entity would. That might be a young business, that might be a young person. But as time goes on and things mature, businesses mature, people mature, countries mature, they start to become more civilized. Okay, so can't we address and forgive the grievances of the past and move on? No, we can't. And we have people like this, Gen Z folk, that they're not built rugged and tough, like once upon a time. Go to the next one. Let me see it. It's always this person that looks like this person anyway that creates these problems, right? Like, you look at it. Look at that face. Oh my God! Look at that face. The TikToker advised workers to not have access to company communications on their phones, take lunch away from their desk, and to only work during their allotted hours. Why is it always somebody that looks like this, right? Crazy hair, and that hair is not even the worst of the worst. I could deal with that hair. It's not the worst. But it's always the big oversized glasses and the nose ring. It's always that person trying to tell you about your boundaries. You're going to put the boss on notice about your boundaries. All right, let's go into the article. Let me see it. All right, so where we go? It leads off. They better pour themselves a cup of ambition. Some Gen Z workers are struggling to do their 9 to 5 jobs, lamenting the reality of the real world where they're forced to rise early and commute to their cubicles. Yeah, nobody told them that in college. Here's your wake-up call, people. Welcome to the real world with the rest of us. While some say they seemingly have no time for themselves, one Zoomer goes by, etc., is offering tips for corporate survival. Number 1, delete Teams, Slack and emails off of your personal phone, she advised. Yeah, you could do that, no problem. Let me explain why you shouldn't, but go ahead. If you need to access them outside of working hours, then your company should have no problem providing you with a work phone to do so. The Defiant TikToker argued that checking work-related communications, like their social media apps, creates self-inflicted damage. Everything is so overdramatic. Go to the next one. Let me see it. Before you know it, your whole identity will be work, she warned. I am not a CEO and I don't have shares in my company, so I have no business to be updated constantly or checking in on this project or that project. So let me tell you sassy little snowflakes what the problem is with that. It is that if you aspire just to be a general worker making basic raises and having just a basic job, or you're looking for, let's say, a partner. In the case of women, they're looking for a man, a provider, a traditional conservative person who would be the head of his household, and he would be the head of his family, and he would provide for his wife, and he would have his wife and he, under their value systems, raise the children. Well, no big deal. Well, then punch in at 9, leave at 5, and just do a basic career. Bring home some extra money, no problem. You're not going to be a boss babe, no problem. But for everyone else or anybody who desires to be higher up the corporate ladder, you don't just punch in at 9, leave at 5, and then not do anything outside of that. You don't get anywhere like that. You have to put in time, effort, energy. You have to convince the company that you're going to be a good risk to pay more money and to put into higher positions of authority and be responsible for people. But when you're just having the company check its boundaries, don't expect great raises and promotions. Let's go back. All right, here we are. More terrible advice. So, our second piece of advice is to start and leave on time, only working during allotted hours. I don't know. Ask any person that started their own business if they were just putting in 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and only doing the bare minimum. See, unless you were in your own business, you understand what you have to do in order to accomplish and achieve. And any employer is not going to provide you opportunity and growth and expansion and want to pay you more money if you're just doing your work during the allotted hours and you're not going the extra mile. So what's our other great advice here? The time we have outside of work is minimal, so it should be spent on you, she said. You can't put a price on time. Well, let's see how that works out when you get to somewhere near retirement. You didn't nearly save enough because you didn't put any extra hours and work harder and make the amount of money that's going to be necessary to not work, because you're not going to live on Social Security if it's going to even be there. The content creator said she didn't even forego overtime for men having personal time to herself. Finally, her third piece of advice was to take lunch breaks away from your workspace, saying she didn't understand the feeling of being chained to our desk. Well, nobody said you had to be chained to your desk. Go out for lunch, take 30, 40 minutes, just get yourself a recharge, then come back. Or, like me, you could just be doing your work while you're eating while you work. You're trying to, as a business owner, you have to divide a minute into 3 pieces if you're going to get it all done. Because if you rely upon people like this, which in fact in the past we have, your business doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. I was back in my business only 2 or 3 months after my employment ended, and we hit record months every single time that I was involved in the business. Why? Because you put in the extra hour, effort, energy, and that's how you win. That's how you get results. That's what warriors do. That's what people that work hard do. That's why people that put in the extra time, effort, energy, they come in early, they stay late, they do great work bell to bell. They put in the 60, 70, 80 hours, and all of a sudden they have nice cars, live in nice homes, and they have nice fat bank accounts. Don't take her advice, because she probably doesn't have any of that. She claimed taking away lunch from the cubicles can allow the mind to reset. It's rough out there. She captioned her clip. It's rough out there. Her remarks received praise from viewers who applauded her lunchtime and cell phone boundaries. Yeah, in the echo chamber, all the SEALs out there telling her that she's right, which is why these people think they're right, because the people that abide these minimalistic ideas, that's why they don't have a lot, but they complain the most. The biggest mistake I made every time I start a new job is re-download Slack to my phone, one person wrote. Let's go on. I don't know how people consistently work 40 hours. I did 32 this week and currently recovering in bed. It's not a lot to everyone, but it is to me, another person lamented. 32 hours? I do 32 hours in 3 days. 3 days. Sometimes I do it in 2 days. You got to be kidding me. These people have no backbone. They are weak, flimsy. If these people, like I always say, stormed Omaha Beach, we'll be speaking German. I dream about work, someone else admitted. Or are they nightmares? The TikToker's tips come after another member of Gen Z went viral for crying over her corporate job. I think I even covered that. Social media user complained she had no free time after starting a 9-to-5 job, which included a long commute. Yeah, that's what happens. That's how it goes, unless you're living off the family trust. These people that are doing all this complaining are probably still living in their parents' basement. They got their insurance paid, their cell phone paid, their car paid, their gas paid by their parents, more than likely that they're doing all this bitching. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have any energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like, I'm so upset, the young woman sobbed. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just like the 9-to-5 schedule in general is crazy. That's who we want to follow into the latter part of the 21st century. Yeah, I get it all done. Matter of fact, while I was working, I was on the elliptical, doing some research, trying to find out all this nonsense out. That's what you do. Or you wake up early. Like on other days, I'll be up at 6 and get on the elliptical. You do that, right? But these people, weak, flimsy, soft, little snowflakes. God, if we had to rely upon them to make our businesses thrive, none of us would make any money. Boy, oh boy, we need to go back to old school values of teaching people to just live it up and just shut your mouth and just keep working hard, which is why probably I got dismissed from my hiring recruitment job because I didn't put up with BS like this.